Hi everyone, welcome to the first episode of Lunch and Learn powered by the GC Index. My name is Caragea and I am your host for today. I'm so excited to have you here. And of course, this is a live broadcast, so feel free to engage with me in the comments. I have the option to highlight your comments, which is really cool on the screen so you can see yourself, not yourself, but your comments. So that's fun. But if you are watching the replay, hi, welcome. Please interact in the comments as well. I'm curious to find your opinion, what you found useful, and yeah, let's enjoy this process. It's my first time doing this live broadcasting, so let's see how it goes. Today we're talking about the GC index and also some very interesting things that can help you with your work. And I've prepared a few slides for you. So let me start because we want to keep it short, sweet and short, and let's see how it goes. So before we get here, what the GC index is and how it measures, I want to start with a question. So is your day looking like this usually? Where you have perhaps low energy, or you feel like at times you have bursts of energy, but not necessarily know what exactly that is for you. Well, good news, because today we will be helping you reclaim your energy at work. Let me know in the comments if this is you. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. So, if you cannot stay during the next 20 minutes or so for this live broadcast, prepare to screenshot the next slide and come back to it, or of course come back to watch the replay. I would love to hear your takeaways after the session. So in 2, 1, take a screenshot. These would be the insights, your way. You'll find your way, or your weekly AI, or your weekly actionable insights. Of course, wordplay. We will come back to this in a bit more slides, but if you are short on time, this would be your insights, and you'll know what to take action on today for your rest of the week. So I was talking about the GC index. What is the GC index? Well, for me, it was a game changer, like the name says, game-changing index, because it actually measures the energy you have at work for different kind of tasks, or your natural inclinations. We call them proclivities, or natural inclinations, your natural tendencies. But it's very interesting because, at least what it did for me, it helped me tap into my strengths. It helped me be more confident in how I present myself, in how I share what I see. Because everybody sees life and work from a different perspective, but we're not necessarily aware what we bring to the table. And actually, many of the clients that have taken the GC index with me, I have the trick question, which is, before I reveal the GC index scores or top 2 proclivities, I usually ask, so if you are to guess what are your top 2 proclivities, guess which are yours. And more often than not, people don't know their top 2 proclivities. Of course, it's great for the GC index because we have a big reveal moment, but maybe not so great for the person before the GC index because they're not so aware of what they bring to the table. So, in terms of what companies are able to do with the GC index, it helps them with many aspects. Of course, we have other slides that we can bring in the next sessions, because today we're very focused on one particular aspect of your work. but definitely companies can use the GC index to identify the authentic and potential impact of individuals, recruit, develop, and manage game-changing talent, accelerate and drive change, and boost individual and team performance. Exciting, right? For the first time ever, and I believe the GC index is the only organimetric tool that is capable of helping with this and help business leaders make business decisions on high-level business cycle, which is exciting. So, and I will tend to say the word so a few times, so please bear with me until I remove the so from my vocabulary. It's work in progress. The 5 Ps of the GC index, and so we have the 5 natural inclinations, the 5 proclivities, and if you will, each area has their own ways of doing or looking at life and at work as tasks even. So the game changers usually come up with out-of-the-box ideas, truly original ideas, and they look for possibilities. The strategists, of course, after they've taken the game-changing ideas, original ideas from game changers, would usually do their best to clarify, to create patterns, and to create plans for the future. They map the future. Then the implementers, they bring that energy, consistent energy of urgency to getting things done, and they have a very pragmatic way of doing their tasks. And then we have the polishers that bring more progress to a task. They bring the attention to details. They sometimes strive for perfection, if not most of the time. I'm a polisher, so it's very hard. Even these slides took me a while to create these slides, to make them pretty and to polish them. And then we have the playmakers that bring people together to work for the common goal. So the next slide is very, very interesting, and this would be the focus for the next 10 minutes or so. So in case you haven't seen this slide, feel free to screenshot it and use it later on to come back to it. It's very interesting to understand your internal dialogue. As I said in the beginning, we are not necessarily super aware of our strengths and our energy for impact. And that can be helpful sometimes, but it can also work against us. Because what usually tends to happen, and let me just make my screen a bit bigger so that I can read, because I can see, but it's like so small on my screen. 1 second. So we have the strategists, but before I go there, it's very interesting to look at the top part. So of course we have the GC index proclivities, but then internal dialogue, what does it mean? It means like, what do you say to yourself when you're doing tasks, when you're interacting with people? And it's very important to pay attention to the internal dialogue that we have, because most of the time it just comes in the public eye, so to speak, because we're using specific language that can either help us maximize our impact or be against us. And that's where some of the people that we tend to work with might want to stay away from us, because we might not be the most positive people, but it happens. We have ups and downs. So this slide is to bring awareness to what happens when your internal dialogue is not your best friend, and then what can happen if you make it your best friend. So when we look at the existential drive for all of these 5 proclivities, we can see that excuse me, there is a why. There is an original inception point of why we do the things that we're doing, an existential drive, if you may. So for the strategy, it's very interesting. I will be upfront. If you don't know this about me yet, I am a strategist polisher. So I will also talk about the perspective that I bring to the table, the strategists. So strategists, they see patterns, trends in behaviors, in events, and they can use this information to map the future or to clarify ideas and to help their peers with their tasks in this sense. So the existential drive for strategists is definitely to make sense of things in a way that brings purpose and direction. And when there is something that, or like many events happening, the strategist hasn't really understood what they contribute with or to, then this can have a negative impact, and it can even lead to a loss of purpose, direction, and clarity. And some of the inhibiting internal dialogue strategies can have, I cannot see a way out of this. I don't know what to do. And that feels like a heavy energy. But on the flip side, when the strategist has identified what they bring to the table, or that actually they have these very fast ways of seeing trends and patterns faster than the other proclivities, they can get excited finally, and they can be confident about what they see to share it for others to have clarity as well. And of course, the positive impact, having clarity in what needs to be done, which is very important for your projects and for your work. Game changers, their existential drive is the need for creative expression and freedom. But sometimes when game changers are in environments where they cannot speak freely, they cannot share their ideas, or people have judged their ideas like, oh, this is too crazy, or why do you say this? Like, you don't know, like, this is not how we do things. This can make the game changers lose their identity. They feel disconnected and they cannot be themselves. On the flip side, when the game changer is really aware of what they bring to the table, that's where they start sharing their weird ideas, I'd say out of the box ideas, creative ideas, and they truly change the game because they create something truly original. And of course, their positive impact is they will be exploring a world of new possibilities. And the game changers usually they don't, how do you say it? I have a lack of my English word. I'll come back if I remember. But it's like they are not taking out an ideas, they would like to include all of the ideas. Yes, found that. Playmaker. So the playmaker is somebody who innately sees how everybody can work together. Not everybody sees that. So it's very important. The role of a playmaker in a company is very, very important because due to their very fast way of understanding life and work, they have that very clear picture in their mind. But when they are not allowed to do that, or they will feel like they don't have a lot of influence, they might feel the negative impact of a crisis of existence, even. They might feel like totally alone in this world. If this is you, recognizing yourself in anything that I've shared so far, just drop us a comment. We would love to highlight it on the screen as well. So moving on, for the playmaker, when they realize the impact and contribution they can make, they take more on the leadership role, that they bring everybody together, they start making decisions without group cohesion, and they will actually have developed the skills of conflict management, negotiation, engaging the hearts and the minds of their peers, for everybody to pull in together. And of course, they will be driving impactful collaboration through others. The implementers, they have a very pragmatic way of problem solving, but and of course, the existential drive is them being active and driven to get things done. But when they are not in a position to see progress or to take action or to do stuff to problem solve, they might lose their confidence. And of course, some of their inhibiting internal dialogue might feel like, oh, I'm not achieving anything or I feel inadequate. Once the implementer has realized their truly game-changing impact within the organization, they will work really well with strategists and with game changers to take the ideas, the out-of-the-box ideas of game changers to help them implement in the work. And of course, that translates into a purpose-driven action. Lastly, we have the polishers. The polishers, they strive for growth, progress, even for perfection, mastery, I would say excellence. And when too much things are happening at the same time, or there's too much confusion happening and they're not able to do what they do best, which is to polish those details and processes, they might feel like their life is out of control and nothing is good enough. And of course, this leads to a loss of order and control. But once the polishers have realized their game-changing impact, they will be more usually game like polishers. And I was very mindful in my communication when I started in the workplace not to be passive aggressive. And we might see a lot of passive aggressiveness from polishers, but also from the other proclivities where they see it so fast how things can be better, but they can turn that passive aggressiveness into assertiveness. And then they will be able to communicate and say, okay, I know a way better. Let's make it better. Let's strive for those excellence, high standards. And they will show that anything is truly possible. Let me know in the comments, or if you're watching the replay, if this is something that you've noticed in your work. While I take a sip of water, and my throat is like, So, you remember that I've showed this slide in the beginning of the recording of the broadcast even. This is how your day might look like, right? Now, if you're not aware of the GC index, and now you have more understanding of your natural inclinations, and ideally you would transition to recharging yourself at the beginning of your day. We had our GC Index Connect, which is an annual event that GCologists and GC Index partners have, where one of the GC Index partners have shared that even 20% of your day, if you spend it in your top two proclivities, will actually fuel you for the rest of the day. So be mindful of how you spend your time and budget to have your top two proclivities at the beginning of the day, if possible, if not, at least once per day to really energize yourself. Because what usually happens when you have your top, or you're working some of your tasks that are in your top two proclivities, you will have the energy to sustain the tasks that you don't really like doing. And we know that there are some tasks that we need to do. So this is your way out or way forward, your weekly actionable insight, your weekly AI for strategists. For the strategist, we will have your top tips. Get clear on where you're going. Prioritize aligning your strategies with your actions, and know why you do what you do, and create reminders, because our mind is so complicated and complex. We think we will remember things, but we will forget. So Don't stress yourself. Create reminders in your physical world so that you can help yourself remember why you do what you do. For me, my why as a strategist, because I was guilty of that, of not remembering why I do what I do. So then I was losing my energy throughout the day, is I do what I do because I believe that everybody deserves to have their inner peace at work. For me, that is very important. When you have your inner peace, you are very, um, you know, you can be present with what life brings you. And then you will be problem solver, a very creative problem solver, and you might even have fun doing that. Problem solving, I mean. For game changers, if you don't have this yet, create an ideas folder. And also remember how freeing creating ideas feels like. So maybe after this session, take a few moments to just remember one instant in your life when you were creating, and how liberating that was feeling. And you have permission to zone out and create ideas. You can even put the timer if you are constrained by time to have 10-15 minutes to do so. Playmakers, remind yourself that you are part of something bigger than yourself. This is very important for you to remind yourself. And of course, engage with your colleagues and bring everybody together on your shared goals because you see these very, very fast. So tap into that natural inclination of yours. The implementers, list your past achievement and acknowledge yourself for how much you've done. The implementers take on so much, their plate is always full. And sometimes they might not see enough progress happening, or they say like, oh, I tend not to do a lot, but actually they've accomplished so much because they have so much energy for it. And also, of course, if you are not doing this, but I'm sure you are, make your daily to-do list. Take action, of course, on the first items and build momentum. And this will recharge you for the rest of your day. Polishers, review your progress so far. And also learn something new or improve your existing skills. That's very important because this will sustain you throughout your day. And also, as a fun experiment, because this can be very fun for you, choose one process or detail in your work and polish it because you can see how it can be better. Have fun with it. I hope these were useful for you. So this is how a GC Index review page can look like for you as well. These are my scores. I have a lot of energy for strategy, and we usually say in order for the GC Index, in order to maximize your impact, you have to develop specific skill set that will complement your natural inclinations. So that's why the GC Index measures the proclivities, and we can also help you develop your specific skill set. So that's it for me. If you need to leave the broadcast and come back for the next part, thank you for watching. Drop us a comment with what you found useful today. In a nutshell, if you need additional support or you want additional support to understand what your game changing top two proclivities are, this is something that we do. We use our framework of engage, optimize, accelerate to use the insights from the GC Index to help you create an impactful organization because we know it is possible. And we have a lovely team that is supporting me. Of course, it was a fun exercise to see everybody's top proclivities and to match them to the GC Index. Of course, drop us a comment. This is a short broadcast, 20 minutes or so. And see you next time. I was having so much fun. Let me know how it went for you. Thank you. Bye for now.